Are you ready, Dar?
You.
What do you think is the socio-political and cultural impact of your performing art? That is not my first question, don't worry. I was just kidding. Hello everyone, we have with us today popular stand-up comic Arvind Desai, who's from Chennai. His show I Was Not Ready Da has just dropped on Amazon Prime Video. So, Essay, when I wanted to do this interview with you, I wanted it to be a light-hearted chat and, like a fun interview. But then I heard that comment you made about the News Minute and journalism going to the dogs.
I didn't make any comment about News Minute, but sure, if you
You
want to.
mentioned it. You mentioned it. You are on video
No,
saying it.
it's
Yes.
not News Minute. For sure, I can. You
You
think
should
I'm.
watch it. You should watch your show again, okay?
Okay, fine. News Minute, no chance. BuzzFeed, Scoop. Oh, Scoop of News
Yes.
Minute. You.
Watch very carefully.
I agree. Yeah, especially.
So,
Fair
are
enough.
you ready, Dar?
Yes,
That's what
very
I wanted
much.
to ask. Okay. So, my first question to you, therefore, is what do you think is the socio-political and cultural impact of your performing art? Okay,
What
don't
do
worry.
I think?
Don't worry.
It's
I'm
my
just
college practicals exam. Like, how do I know? It's my Bible. You have to come up with some answer. No, sir. This is H2SO4.
okay.
No,
I'm
no.
just
If you
kidding.
could break it down in simpler terms, I could probably give you a better answer.
No, no, no. That is not my first question. Don't worry. I was just kidding. So I wanted to ask you, when did you start thinking that you could do this? Like, that this is your career.
This is my career. Probably halfway into I was not ready to tour. By that I mean after 2 years ago, I would say. Even though I've been doing this for 10 years. So the context for that answer being the first ever solo show happened in 2015, which was Madrasida, which then got picked up by Amazon Prime in 2017 after touring. And then I was not ready in 2017. And then I always feel if you have something that's working, if you do I need repetitive data points to be able to take reassurance that, okay, this is here to stay and people are actually coming back to it and making a pattern out of it. Then when the second show, which is this, I was not ready, started selling out and doing well and getting good response, then I was sold on the idea that this is here to stay. The idea of people going out in numbers and watching, and also artists putting new shows and immediately being picked up for OTTs, because a lot of new things were happening in our ecosystem at the same time. OTTs coming in, stand-up comedians launching solo shows, people paying big money to actually go out and watch live performances, which is not necessarily heard of, at least in the recent past. It might be in the thing of many years ago before television. Yeah, live performances were everything. You gathered in thousands. Not anymore, but stand-up comedy has changed that. So yeah, a couple of years ago, after the second show started doing well, I told myself, stop faffing around. This is full time.
You say in your show that, your mother does not attend your performances, but I'm sure that she's watched it, right? So what does she think about it?
Oh, so okay, spoiler alert for people, you should stop if you don't want to, you should stop the interview here and resume it 2 minutes later. I try and keep it less than 2 minutes. So in this show, at the end, after the credit scene, there is a post-credit bonus, which is actually the biggest I was not read a moment for me in the show, because my mother was sneaked into the show by my relatives without informing me, and there was a camera on her the whole time.
Okay.
And at the end of the show, I do a post-show announcement thanking everyone, and I have a shout out for other artists, asking people to go and support other live performing artists like how they supported me. And then I finish with a thank you to my mom, as always. Like every show, it's like my ritual, like a superstition. So I thank her for never coming to my show, never making me awkward, and just letting me be whatever I am and accepting me the way I am, etc. And then suddenly in the thank you note, my team had written, "Surprise, your mom is in the audience."
Okay.
And then I read that it's on camera. It comes in after the end credit scene. I didn't want to bring it before that. Then you see my mom in that, and my mom had been there the whole time, and I had no idea this was in the recording show. I was panicking on stage. I was like, the whole show is about why would you bring your parents, and here I am with my own mom there in the audience, and my uncles had brought her over because I had only one condition with my family: if you ever come to my show, don't ever tell me about it.
Okay. So
So
you never
clearly,
try your comedy out on your family.
no chance. I think
They're just the subjects.
we are very insulated from each other's worlds. We don't understand it. We respect it, at least outside wise. Inside, I'm sure we have fierce debates. But yeah, so my mom had come to that show and we never discussed it. I basically told the crowd to give her a round of applause, and I said, please don't ever discuss what happened right now and on stage. And to date, she's not brought it up. At least it was the first time in 10 years of stand-up comedy that I've been doing that she's ever seen me perform.
Okay, great. So, your visa story that I'm not going into what the story is, but the visa story that you mentioned in your show, I mean, that was really unbelievable. I actually did Google to see if that was true, because I couldn't believe someone could be so, I mean, okay, I don't, it's so naive.
Go for it. It's okay. I'm a comedian. Go for it. You can.
So
the only interviewer allowed to do this.
So, can you tell us some other goof ups from your Velinatu Payanams? Now you've traveled so much, right?
Well, I've had multiple people come up to me in the airport and hand over my passport to me saying, sir, this might be yours.
Okay.
Because I'm extremely careless. I'm always not in the moment. I'm always overclocking in my head that you don't even realize the small things you do. Number of times I've had people, or I've had the airport authorities itself call out my name in Heathrow, and I'm talking St. Petersburg, all kinds of crazy places. Arvind Subramanian, your passport is with us. I'm like, okay, then I'll go collect it. It's almost become a point. When I grew up, my parents used to give me so much help for it, saying you're going to get into big trouble for this carelessness, etc. Like every other parent, I've lost some 50 cycle keys, 20 mobile phones, 30 house keys. It's like everything. But today, it's all becoming great content for me. I've become slightly more responsible. I try to come up with solutions, attach it to my body wherever I go, something like that. But yeah, the biggest goof up has to be the visa story. It's okay. I mean, it's not like a big spoiler alert for them. I mean, nobody's ever going to remember that much, but that has to be something that to date, the pain I feel in my body when I think of how somebody can not even know what a visa is shocking.
You spoke on the show about the abuse that you've received for your popular Lungi Dance song from North Indians. So can you tell us the most colorful one that you got for it, the one which you still remember?
My most favorite one is one for the Lungi Dance breakdown clip that I did on YouTube. Somebody wrote there saying, "Hat Sale." Okay, that was the first opening thing. This is why Harbhajan slapped Srishant.
Okay.
And I was like, that was his response to my whole rant against Lungi Dance. This is why Harbhajan slapped Srishant. And I went and responded. Like, I hope you know Srishant is from Kerala and I am from Tamil Nadu.
Yeah.
So it's so ironical that it still ends up happening, whatever the thing I'm mocking.
Right. Okay. So in your show, you talk about how comedians are being taken a little too seriously in our country, and you also made your comment on journalism in that context. So, but as a comedian, do you not want your opinions to be taken seriously? Because internationally in stand-up comedy, people are making all kinds of points using humor, and even in India, for instance. So, what do you feel about that?
That particular joke / sentiment is actually directed at the general oversimplification of this the whole rants against comedians' opinions. It's not. I would never go out there to say there should be a blanket ignorance towards comedians' opinions. No. Like anybody who puts their opinions out there, of course it will be. It has to go through its due diligence, and even it's not like we also put ourselves out there in an unfiltered manner. There's so much processing that happens pre-show, and then post-show, once you put it into a system. When we say don't take our opinion seriously, I think the point that at least most of us tend to agree on is that the kind of positions it takes up, this opinion space, in the hierarchy of opinions out there, is what we are addressing to say, hey, really, of all the people who said silly stuff and that we could analyze, it's us who you want to pick on. Now, that is kind of also the opinion that's going on. So it is never to say you can't scrutinize us, because if I had not been scrutinized as much as I have been in the past and I continue to be, I don't think I would have ever had a chance of evolving. Like, I've had so many jokes of mine that I never understood that it came from, a certain conditioning or a certain background, etc. So only if you get challenged can you even evolve. So there's no doubts about questioning, but If you question me on prime time in a in a news program, then something's really wrong with us.
But you should admit, no, if you get banned by an airline, it's really good for your career, right? At least your IRCTC login ID உங்களுக்கு block பண்ணா, isn't it good for your career?
If that is how you want your career to be, so I would never do that. I wouldn't. That's not good for my. Forget my career. It's not good for my mental health. I can't take that much attention. But clearly he can. I mean, he doesn't really care about what people think of him or what tickets sell for him or which platform wants to buy his show. He really doesn't care. He just wants to do his thing. So if you're honest to yourself and you know what you want to achieve as your end goal, I think this is all good. I mean, I think scrutiny is good. I think discussion is good. I'm up for anyone who would have great discussions with comedians. What I find really stupid is this whole thing. And it's not like it's only happening to comedians, but it's just the nature of our time today. We oversimplify a particular out of context thing and then start harping on it in the 24-hour cycle. That it's an easy thing to joke about. That's why people laugh the most for that joke, because the minute you take shot at journalism, the whole world is resonating like as if they're like, yes. And I'm like, you're the ones who are consuming it. So don't miss out. Suddenly don't think you're all some cool audience who don't watch Indian journalists. We're all enablers.
Okay. So that actually brings me to my next question. You know, when you're performing on stage, it's just you and the audience and the relationship you have with them right then. But when a show like this goes online, right? So there will be people who are analyzing it from different angles, people who are taking screenshots like me and, you know, who are going to get go mad. Like, for instance, in your show, you said, you know, while speaking about a black guy in the US, and then you said, I'm black too, whereas you're brown. So we could maybe accuse you of appropriation. சும்மா கொளுத்தி போடுவோமே இப்ப சொல்றேன்.
Sure. No, this has all been run past multiple woke people that you and I know of. So don't worry. But anyways, go on.
So I'm just saying, so does that get to you at some level? Like when you see this kind of reaction and, you know, you may feel that it is over analyzing your work, but others may think that art needs to be critiqued. So how do you strike a balance, and does it really affect you?
Please, I know art definitely needs to be critiqued, and even I'm critiquing the over-analyzing part. Has not. I would disassociate that from the critiquing part. But yes, the over-analyzing does get to you. It does happen. It does get to you, and like it's just what do you say? The scope of work of any public artist or public performer. You have to be willing to take this. You have to develop a certain thick skin. Even if you can't develop a thick skin, at least a way of deflecting it as much as possible. Because at the end of the day, you're right. When I write something, it is only meant for those four walls. And only because the people who pay tickets and come to watch that have a certain level of alignment with that brand of comedy, or at least the idea of comedy, if not the brand at least. Right? Why, what goes and what doesn't go in a comedy show. So once you take it out of that, you do open yourself to a lot of scrutiny. So therefore, I definitely, there's a lot of self-censorship which helps. Because at the end of the day, would I want complete freedom, or would I want to be in a position to be able to just do this regular enough to get some kind of a trade-off of a professional satisfaction and a personal life at the same time? That's what I personally go for.
Okay.
So therefore, I do that. So my end goal has been, even in this show, I've removed so many that now nobody will even be aware of. In fact, there are certain things in this show that has been censored that nobody will even can find out, and it's been censored not by forces outside. So that tells me, okay, there's no such thing as a safe space. Everybody is thinking the same thing, whether you're the organization or the individual creating it or the organization distributing it or whoever it is. You're all in this together. It's not like we are living in a vacuum. So yeah, I have to balance it. Why? Because I want to, the joy of being able to impact people's life positively outweighs this whole thing of I want a free world where I can say whatever and I want to get no. I think if that means removing 3 political jokes and adding 10 more jokes about my family, which will make the audience laugh a lot more, great. I'm not, I know where to keep my politics, is my point.
Okay. And finally, like, how do you gauge whether a show has been successful? For you, what defines it? Is it like the laughs that you get, or is it, you know, is there any other parameter for you?
Successful, huh? Oh, I've never. I guess there are multiple parameters. One, if people are still buying tickets for your show, that means they want to listen to you and see what you have to tell them. So that would be a definite way of gauging your success. Whether it's 50 people or 5,000 people, fact is, if they're willing to give you your time and they go out satisfied, that to me is the tick. That's pretty much how I from 2010 to now. That's how we started and gauged ourselves on. Outside of that, if you ask me, how I would see if a material is successful or not, yeah, laughs and the feedback you get, I'm always monitoring it. I'm always looking at how I'm evolving as an artist and what are the influences that are affecting me and how and therefore what is it? How does it reflect on people's feedback as well? So when you can see all of that match your expectations, then that's also another parameter for success to say, okay, so something that we sowed some seeds and we're reaping the dividends in a matter of a year or so. So those are the two ways in which I gauge it.
Okay. So that brings us to the end of the interview. Thank you so much for joining us, SA. And we at TNM are looking forward to what other jokes you're going to crack about us in your future shows. Okay.
Thank you so much. This is super fun. This was actually far more fun than I expected. That tells you a lot about TNM because I'm like, yo.
Yeah. We are really not that bad, Like, we are very chill people. Seriously. Okay.
Thank you so much, Soumya. Pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.